91X. It's Marty of Marty and Danielle talking to Kevin Parker of Tame Impala, who is one of the forces, if not the single force, behind the beautiful record, The Slow Rush, which we are all over here on the radio in San Diego. Hello, Kevin Parker. How are you?
Hey, man. Good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks. You are in Australia right now.
Yeah, I've been here since the whole thing started.
And keeping a tight circle, I would guess?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like in Western Australia, it's been pretty good on the spectrum of all things. I keep it pretty tight anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like to say this. You're like a non-rock star in a good way, because you're not dating Megan Fox and getting into car crashes on Fairfax in Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like, you're married. You're creating all the time. You're not out causing a bunch of media fuss.
Well, when you put it like that, I'm starting to think maybe I should.
You're no stranger to festivals. I mean, you've played so many of them over the years. I mean, headlining Coachella, Lollapalooza has been a place that you've been. You were looking forward probably playing Bonnaroo, and that didn't happen.
Yeah, I'm a pretty glass half full kind of person. Like, I think it'll all happen. We've all just got to wait a bit longer.
San Diego, one of the privileged few that got to see the kickoff of the Slow Rush tour. You played here
That's it.
And debuted so many great songs, and then moved 2 days to LA, and then the whole thing got shut down. Interestingly, those fan videos from that show at Pechanga Arena are thirst traps for fans of yours, because it was the inertia of you coming out and presenting that music. I mean, have you gone back and seen any of those? Have you watched any?
So funny, like I've seen a couple of things like on Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've been like, oh, that's right, we did that, you know, because it was such a whirlwind. It seemed like before it even began, it was over. Those 3 shows just, I went over in a flash, you know, and I was like, oh, that's right, we did all that work. And also, like, I can't really watch it because it breaks my heart. That's not what we're doing now.
So much work into it. I mean, the visuals that were put together for that, I was like, that was a Super Bowl type performance on its own.
Yeah.
And
thanks. That was the inspiration, Super Bowl halftime.
I mean, you weren't flying above the stadium like Gaga, but it definitely felt like that could have happened. There were so many lights and lasers. And the takeaway from fans, by the way, if you weren't their favorite band before, you absolutely are tattooed on their heart now.
Wow. Well, awesome.
How long did it take to get that monumental stage production and all of it together?
We rented a shed/aircraft hangar in Vegas for about a month. There was kind of like work going into it before then, you know, lighting, visuals people and stuff like that. And
well, you obviously take great care and concern with the visual aesthetic that Tame Impala puts face forward to your audience and to your fans. Are you always thinking how that's going to come together when you do a stage production? I mean, obviously the music is pouring out of you, but are you also keeping part of your brain thinking about, ooh, this would be good too?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where the more I've got into it, the more obsessed I've got with it. You know, when your house is kind of messy and you just sort of straighten one thing up, and then that leads to straightening up something else. And then before you know it, you've cleaned the entire house, because the more you cleaned, the more it seemed like the stuff that wasn't clean looks really dirty and out of place.
This over here goes, oh, this looks better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it quickly spiraled into me just obsessing over every color and every movement, you know? So now it's kind of like, as far as the live show goes, it's as important as the sound. It's on the same level, and it can all go together. And if you do it well, it can be truly, truly good. Truly magical.
You are now, because of the many great works you have done on your own and collaborations with others, are sought after as a producer. You're getting gun for hire work from lots of your peers. How does that feel?
I think like me being the sort of desirable producer is kind of a narrative that people have bought into. In the world of collaborating and sort of like pop artists, R&B artists, hip hop artists, electronic artists, there's so much collaborating that goes on. Everyone's contacting everyone. So I don't think I'm in demand any more than anyone else that's a producer. It's just that sort of I've already got I'm already an artist. So it's kind of like more of a thing when it happens. But like, you know, if I'm one of 100 on an album, I'll get a mention because I'm Tame Impala. You know what I mean?
Totally. And Kevin, you're being very humble. I'm going to ask you a question, and the answer to the question is going to show how humble you are. Who was the last person that reached out and said, you know what, can we get in the studio and do something? If you can reveal that.
Well, I can't reveal the last one because that I'd be breaching some sort of verbal agreement.
And trust,
but,
sure.
Well, I mean, like the last thing I did was The Weeknd. So Abel reached out, which was pretty special, pretty amazing moment for me.
Yeah, The Weeknd, who just had the longest running top 5 song in Billboard history, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like the longest running top.
Wow.
I mean,
wow. Yeah, of course.
It was a record. I mean, there you go. There's the flex. You were like, nobody's really. Yeah,
exactly.
But good on you. It's great to have your feet.
No. You know what? It meant a lot because I mean, like his music is so like refined and so good. Someone like him to want to work with me.
One of my favorite all-time performances at Coachella ever was his stripped-down blue and red lit, low-key but beautiful performance. And then I also saw him the year that he headlined on main stage, and I don't think it was as transcending, not a knock. When you bake him down, he's beautiful.
I was at that show, the time he played before the headline. That was amazing. I also think it was because it was kind of like right when he was starting to sort of hit his stride, which playing Coachella, if that's your moment, if it's around that time, it can be electric.
Okay, so we mentioned some people you've worked with. Is there anybody you haven't worked with that you would like to? I mean, there's some big names out there that you still haven't been on their liner notes yet.
Yeah, I was just thinking the other day, like I was going through a kind of a Queens of the Stone Age resurgence because I was a massive fan of them when I was a teenager. Yes. Just obsessed. They were my favorite band for a long time. And you know what? I was listening to Songs for the Deaf the other day. And I just realized, like, this is one of the last great rock albums.
Truly. Stands all by itself.
There haven't been many rock albums since then that were just, like, boundary pushing and completely awesome at the same time.
So this interview gets out there. Josh Homme hears about this.
Josh Homme. Josh, call me up, buddy. We'll make sweet musical babies together.
We're like the Tinder of musicians over here at 91X, right? We're connecting. We're seeing if your profiles match.